My name is Eric Lawson. I'm 42 years old and I work as a contractor. It's tough work, long hours on construction sites, calloused hands, and more stress than I'd like to admit, but it pays well and has given me a good life. I've always been proud of what I've built, not just with wood and steel, but in my personal life too. I met Claire at a summer barbecue when I was 27 and she was 25. She was standing by the grill, laughing at something her friend had said, and when she turned and caught me staring, her smile made my chest tighten. I knew she was different. We fell in love quickly, the kind of love that makes you stupid and brave at the same time. Within 2 years, we were married in her parents' backyard, surrounded by string lights and the people who mattered most. For 15 years, I believed we had the perfect marriage. Claire never worked outside the home. I was happy to provide, while she took care of the house. We had our rhythm. Dinners on the porch watching the sunset, quiet weekends at the lake, Sunday mornings tangled in sheets. The simple happiness most people dream about but never quite achieve. We tried for kids, but it never happened. Claire cried about it sometimes, and I'd hold her, telling her we were enough for each other. I meant it. Then Mark's world collapsed. Younger brother had always been the charmer, quick with a joke, easy with a smile, the guy everyone wanted at their party. But his divorce was vicious. His ex-wife took him for everything. The house, the cars, most of his savings. She'd caught him with her sister, and the judge hadn't been sympathetic. By the time the lawyers were done, Mark was financially ruined and emotionally destroyed. I found him in Murphy's bar at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, unshaven, wearing the same shirt I'd seen him in a week earlier. The smell of desperation hung on him like cheap cologne. "I'm done, Eric," he said, not looking up from his bourbon. "I've got nothing left." "You've got family," I told him firmly. "Come stay with us until you get back on your feet." Claire's hesitation was subtle when I told her that. Evening, she was chopping vegetables for dinner, and the knife paused mid-cut. "Are you sure this is a good idea? He seems different now," she asked cautiously. "Family helps family," I said firmly, kissing her forehead. "It's temporary." That night, I showed Mark to the guest bedroom, the same room where I'd once imagined setting up a nursery. His gratitude felt genuine as he gripped my shoulder. "I'll get back on my feet, brother. I promise." "You won't regret this," he said with emotion. I went to bed that night feeling proud of my decision, believing I'd thrown my brother a lifeline. But things shifted almost immediately. Claire started wearing makeup around the house, something she hadn't done in years. Her comfortable sweats were replaced with fitted jeans, loose t-shirts with low-cut blouses. When Mark cracked jokes over dinner, her laughter rang louder than it ever did for mine. She'd linger after I went to bed, claiming she was cleaning up, but I'd hear their voices drifting up through the floorboards, punctuated by her giggles. "Mark's actually really insightful," she told me one morning, pouring coffee. "You never mentioned how smart he is." I noticed but dismissed it. She was being kind to a hurting man. That's who Claire was. Compassionate, warm. It's what made me fall in love with her. 3 weeks in, my construction schedule ramped up. We'd landed a major commercial project that required longer hours and overnight trips to coordinate with suppliers 2 states over. "I'll be working late more often," I announced over dinner, stabbing at my steak. "And traveling for the Morrison project. Could be gone 2-3 days at a time?" "We'll manage," Claire said, but she was looking at Mark when she replied. As I loaded my truck for the first extended trip, toolboxes rattling in the bed, I caught them through the kitchen window. They were standing by the sink, and something passed between them, a look that made my stomach tighten with an unnamed dread. Mark's hand brushed Claire's as he handed her a dish, and she didn't pull away. I sat in my truck for a full minute, keys in the ignition, telling myself I was imagining things. The 3-day job in Memphis went smoothly, but I couldn't shake the feeling gnawing at my gut. When I pulled into our driveway at 10 p.m., the house looked normal from the outside. Porch, light on, Claire's sedan in its usual spot, Mark's borrowed pickup beside it. But inside, everything felt shifted. like furniture moved just inches from where it should be. Empty wine bottles filled the kitchen trash. 3 of them. Claire rarely drank, maybe a glass at dinner on special occasions. Her shoes were kicked, off in the living room, not placed neatly by the door. The guest bedroom door, which Mark used to leave open, was closed tight. "How was Memphis?" Claire asked, appearing in her robe, hair damp from a shower. "Fine. You two have a party?" I responded, eyeing the bottles. She followed my gaze to the trash. "Oh, Mark was feeling down about the divorce. We had a few glasses while talking. You know how it is," she explained quickly. But I didn't know how it was. In 15 years, Claire had never been the late-night talking type, not even with her own sister. That night, when I reached for her in bed, she turned away. "I'm exhausted, honey." "Tomorrow?" she said softly. Tomorrow became next week, then the week after. Every advance met with hollow excuses, headaches, exhaustion, not feeling like myself lately. Meanwhile, Mark had transformed. The broken man. I'd pulled from the bar, now strutted through my house with renewed confidence, making jokes about my hard labor while he kept Claire company. "Someone's got to make sure she doesn't get lonely," he said one evening, winking. The words stung, but I told myself I was being paranoid. This was my brother. This was my wife, yet the evidence mounted. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Conversations that died the moment I entered a room. One evening I came home early to find them on the couch watching a movie, sitting close enough that their thighs touched. The space between them vanished the moment they noticed me. "Join us," Claire said, her voice too bright. "I should check on some emails," Mark said, standing quickly. "I'll come help," Claire offered, following him before I could respond. "He's been having trouble with his resume format." She didn't return for an hour. The breaking point came during Thursday dinner. Mark casually mentioned Claire's fear of thunderstorms, something she'd only told me after 3 years of marriage. He knew about the scar on her hip from a childhood bike accident, her hatred of jasmine perfume, the way she counted stairs when nervous. "How do you know that?" I asked, my fork suspended halfway to my mouth. Claire's face flushed crimson. "We've just been talking a lot. You know, while you're at work. It's nice having company," she stammered. That night, I lay rigid in bed, cataloging every sound. Footsteps in the hallway at 1 a.m., the guest bathroom door opening, closing. Whispered. Voices that stopped when I shifted positions. At 3 a.m., I got up for water and found Claire's wedding ring on the bathroom counter. She'd never taken it off before, not even for gardening. "Oh, I was cleaning it," she said the next morning when I held it up. But it wasn't any cleaner than before. My work suffered. I misread blueprints, ordered wrong materials, snapped at my crew. My foreman Dave pulled me aside. "Everything okay at home, boss?" he asked with concern. "Fine," I lied. I started leaving work randomly, making excuses about forgotten tools or documentation. Each time I arrived home unexpectedly, I found them quickly separating. From the kitchen, the living room, once from the hallway near the guest bedroom. "You're paranoid," I told myself, but my gut knew better. My brother's cologne lingered in my bedroom. Claire's phone, which she used to leave anywhere, never left her side now. When notifications popped up, she'd flip it face down or walk to another room to respond. 3 weeks after that first trip, another big job came up, a hotel renovation 3 hours north. "I'll be gone 3 days," I announced at dinner. "Leaving Tuesday morning." "That's rough," Mark said, not looking up from his plate. "But don't worry about anything here, brother. I'll take real good care of Claire while you're gone." The emphasis on real good care made my blood run cold. The way Claire's breath caught, the quick glance between them, I knew. Tuesday morning I loaded my truck with elaborate theater, packed my bags, my tools, even called Claire from the road to say I'd arrived safely. But I'd only driven to a motel 1 town over, waiting, planning, knowing I'd return Wednesday night to confirm what my heart already knew. My hands shook as I turned the key Wednesday night, entering my own home like a thief. I'd parked 2 blocks away and approached through the backyard, avoiding the motion lights I'd installed myself. The house felt wrong immediately. Electric with betrayal, thick with secrets. Wine glasses on the coffee table, one bearing lipstick marks. Claire's blouse draped over the couch arm. Mark's shirt on the floor. And from down the hallway, from the guest bedroom I'd prepared with my own hands, came sounds that turned my stomach to acid. Each step down that hallway felt like walking through wet concrete. My work boots, which I'd forgotten to remove, seemed thunderous on the hardwood. But they didn't hear. They were too lost in each other to hear anything beyond their own breathing, their own moans. The door was cracked open, carelessly, arrogantly. Through that gap, I saw my entire world collapse. Claire, my wife of 15 years, was naked and entwined with Mark, her legs wrapped around my brother's waist, her fingers in his hair. The same hands that wore my ring, that had held mine through. Better and worse, were now clawing at another man's back, my own brother's back. For a moment, I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't process the devastation of seeing the 2 people I trusted most in the world destroying everything I'd built. 15 years of marriage, 15 years of working overtime to give her everything. 15 years of being faithful, supportive, devoted, shattered in the guest bed I'd bought to help Mark recover. The rage hit like a sledgehammer. I kicked the door so hard it bounced off the wall. Mark barely had time to turn before I grabbed his throat and yanked him off my wife, off my bed, throwing him naked onto the floor. My fists, hardened by years of construction work, connected with his face again and again. I felt his nose break, saw blood spray across the white carpet, heard him screaming apologies that meant nothing. "Eric, stop, stop!" Claire screamed, scrambling for sheets, but I couldn't stop. Each punch carried years of brotherhood betrayed. Each kick to his ribs was for every dinner he'd eaten at my table while planning to f*** my wife. He curled into a ball, sobbing, begging, bleeding. I kicked his stomach, his back, wanting to break something that could never heal. "Eric, please!" Claire had found her robe, tears streaming down her face. "It was just one time. We were drunk. It doesn't mean anything," she sobbed desperately. I turned to her, and she stepped back at whatever she saw in my eyes. One time. I walked to their clothes, scattered in their passion, and pulled out her phone from her jeans pocket. "I know this isn't the first time. You think I'm stupid? You think I haven't noticed?" I demanded. The weeks of changes, the suspicious behavior, the intimate knowledge Mark had of her, it all pointed to an ongoing affair. I grabbed the sheets, yanking them away from both of them. "Get out! Both of you! Now!" I commanded coldly. "Eric, please let us get dressed," she pleaded. "Out!" I roared, shoving them toward the door. Let the neighbors see what kind of cheating woman I married and what kind of brother I had. I pushed them outside naked, Claire sobbing and trying to cover herself, Mark limping and bloodied. Several neighbors' lights flickered on. Good. Let them see. The prenup will be enforced, I told Claire coldly. You get nothing, nothing. "Eric, baby, please," she begged. I slammed the door on her words. Alone in my destroyed home, I surveyed the wreckage, their wine glasses mocking me from the coffee table, their clothes polluting my floors, the bed where they'd betrayed me, sheets twisted and stained with their deceit. But as the adrenaline faded, something colder took its place. Throwing them out naked was satisfying, but it wasn't enough. They'd planned this carefully, systematically destroyed my life while smiling. To my face. They deserved more than humiliation. They deserved complete destruction. I called my lawyer, waking him at midnight. "Tom, I need you to pull the prenup." "Yeah, now." "I don't care what time it is," I said firmly. Then I began my real work. Claire's phone, left behind in her panic, unlocked with the anniversary date she'd apparently forgotten meant anything. The messages were all there. Weeks of planning. jokes about my stupidity, Mark telling her what he wanted to do to her in explicit detail, Claire responding with pictures, encouragement, counting down the days until my next trip. One message from Mark made me see red. He actually thinks I'm grateful. The idiot is financing his own cuckolding. Another from Claire. I can't wait until you're in his bed. There's something so hot about doing it right under his nose. They hadn't just betrayed me. They'd laughed about it. I sat at my kitchen table until dawn, planning like I'd plan a construction project, every detail mapped out, every vulnerability identified, every consequence calculated. By sunrise, I had blueprints for their destruction. The prenup was ironclad. Tom had insisted on it years ago, despite Claire's tears about not trusting our love. She'd signed without reading, trusting me like I'd trusted her. The adultery clause was clear. Infidelity voided any claim to marital assets. The house, my business, our savings, all mine. She won't get a penny, Tom confirmed over the phone. With this evidence, she can't even contest it. But legal victory wasn't enough. I wanted scorched earth. Claire's parents, Richard and Dorothy, were conservative Baptists who'd loved me from day one. I'd been the steady, reliable man who'd rescued their wild daughter from her party girl 20s. I drove to their house Sunday morning, carrying a folder of screenshots. Eric! Dorothy hugged me warmly. Where's Claire? We missed you both at service. I need to show you something, I said quietly. I laid out the evidence methodically. The texts, the photos Claire had sent Mark, the security footage from my doorbell camera showing them kissing on my porch while my truck was still in the driveway. Richard's face went from confused to horrified to furious. Dorothy wept, then prayed, then wept again. That Jezebel. Richard finally spoke, his voice shaking. After everything you've done for her, after how you've provided, protected, loved her, she's no daughter of mine, Dorothy said quietly. And I knew she meant it. They cut Claire off that day, blocked her number, changed their will. When she appeared at their door begging for forgiveness, they called the police for trespassing. Richard called me later. You'll always be our son, Eric. She made her choice, he said with finality. Mark's destruction required different tactics. I knew from the divorce that he'd violated his restraining order multiple times, but had avoided consequences. I also knew he owed 6 months of child support. A few calls to the right people, a few documents provided to his ex-wife's lawyer, and within 48 hours, Mark was arrested at the motel where he'd been hiding. His probation was revoked. Without my protection, without my house, without my money to pay for a lawyer, Mark faced the full weight of his legal troubles. 6 months in county jail minimum. His ex-wife smiled when she called to thank me. Word spread through our small town like wildfire. Not through me. I maintained dignified silence. But Claire's walk of shame had been witnessed. The neighbors talked. My crew talked. The church talked. Within a week, everyone knew that Claire Lawson had cheated on good. Honest Eric with his own brother. Claire discovered that reputation matters in a small town. The dental office where she'd interviewed before everything collapsed wouldn't hire her. They decided to go another direction. The boutique downtown passed. Even the grocery store said no. Finally, desperate and broke, she took a job at Ray's Diner, the grease trap on Route 9 that cyclists wouldn't even stop at. I made one visit there 3 months later. She was thinner. Her designer clothes replaced with a stained uniform, her perfect manicure replaced with cracked nails. She saw me enter and dropped her coffee pot. Eric, she started. Just coffee, I said, sitting at the counter. She poured with shaking hands. Can we talk? She asked hesitantly. We're talking, I replied coldly. I mean really talk. About us. About what happened. I was confused, Eric. Mark manipulated me. He said things, made me believe things. I never stopped loving you, she pleaded, desperately. I listened to her entire speech, the tears, the promises, the insistence that it meant nothing, that she'd made a terrible mistake, that she'd do anything to fix it. You had everything, I said quietly. A home, security, a husband who loved you completely, and you threw it away to have intimacy with my brother in my own house, in the bed I bought, while spending my money. Live with that choice. Eric, please, she begged. I left $5 on the counter and walked out, her sobs following me to the parking lot. Mark fared worse. After jail, no one would hire him. His reputation as a man who'd betrayed his own brother followed him everywhere. He tried construction, my crews spread the word. Tried sales, nobody trusted him. Last I heard, he was panhandling near the shopping center, sleeping in a tent behind the abandoned Kmart. Sometimes I drive by and see him there, hollow-eyed and broken, holding a cardboard sign. I don't slow down. The house felt different with them gone. Not empty, but clean. Like I'd finally fixed a structural problem that had been rotting the foundation. I redecorated, burned their belongings, had the guest room professionally cleaned, then converted it to a home gym. The neighbors brought casseroles. My crew invited me to barbecues. The women at church started smiling more, asking if I needed anything. Anything at all. I dated carefully, slowly, with the wisdom of someone who'd learned to spot red flags. 6 months later, I met Sarah at a hardware store. She was trying to fix her own sink, covered in plumbing putty and swearing creatively. She laughed when I offered help, insisted on learning how to do it herself. We had coffee after, then dinner. She had her own career, her own house, her own life. She didn't need me to save her, didn't want me to provide everything. She wanted a partner, not a provider. I believe in brutal honesty, she told me on our third date. No games, no lies, no betrayal. If something's wrong, we talk. If it's over, we say so. Clean breaks, no destruction. I could work with that. 6 months have passed since everything fell apart, a full year since that night I caught them. I stand on my porch with my morning coffee, surveying the life I've rebuilt. The sun's coming up over the construction site across town, my newest project, a community center that'll bear my company's name. Claire still works doubles at Ray's Diner. I know because Tom's investigator keeps tabs, making sure she doesn't try anything legally stupid. She lives in a studio apartment above the laundromat, the kind with water stains on the ceiling and neighbors who fight at 3 a.m. Her parents still send me Christmas cards but haven't spoken to her since the revelation. She's become the town cautionary, tale, the woman who had everything and destroyed it for nothing. Mark never recovered. The jail time broke something in him that was already cracked. He panhandles near the town center now, his addiction worse than ever. Sometimes he shuffles past my job sites, a living ghost of brotherhood betrayed. My workers know not to give him anything. Once, he approached me directly, skeletal and desperate, calling my name. I looked through him like he was glass and kept walking. The house feels like mine again. Sarah comes over twice a week, but we're taking things slow. She respects what I've been through, doesn't push for more than I'm ready to give. We cook together, laugh at bad movies, work on projects side by side. She fixed my bathroom sink last week while I made dinner. Partnership, not dependency. You know what I like about you? She said recently, painting my kitchen while I installed new cabinets. You don't need anyone to complete you. You're already whole. She's right. The betrayal didn't break me. It revealed me, showed me I could survive anything, destroy those who deserved it, and rebuild stronger. I lost a wife and a brother that day. I came home early. But looking at what they've become, at what they always were beneath the surface, I realize I didn't lose anything of value at all. The coffee's getting cold. I head inside to get ready for work, passing the hallway where I once caught them whispering. Now it holds pictures from my latest projects, awards from the Construction Association, a photo of Sarah and me at the job site, hard hats on and grinning. My phone buzzes. It's Richard, Claire's father. Saw the news about your community center project. So proud of you, son. Dorothy sends her love. I text back thanks, meaning it. The last good thing from that old life, preserved. I've got foundations to pour today, things to build that will last. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.